Okay, so my name is Nick DiCarlo. I'm chairing this meeting. We rotate the chairs, and I'm on the coordinating committee of the Seniors for Climate, as are a number of people who are here today. And so I'm just going to briefly tell you what's on the agenda. We're going to go a land acknowledgement of sorts, and I'll explain that in a minute. We're going to do a check-in in terms of where things are at with people, how they're feeling about, Canada's climate targets and recent announcements, and how you're feeling about what's actually happening in terms of climate issues and impacts in where you reside. We're going to do a quick evaluation report on the Climate Week we just organized around. We're going to then do a presentation on the plan for the fall action, some discussion on media, a bit of a website update, and then a few other reports. So that's what we're going to try to do today. And we hope you get a chance to give your opinions on things and have a chance to speak up. So let's start with the land acknowledgement. So what I'd like to suggest is that going forward, we'll ask for volunteers to do land acknowledgements because we're sort of scrambling just before the meeting to find someone to do the land acknowledgement. And so I won't do that now, but if you're interested, maybe you can put your name in the chat for doing future land acknowledgements, and we'll get back to you about that. There's two kinds of land acknowledgements I'm familiar with. One is where one acknowledges the land in which you reside and the connection to the land, the history of the land, and the nature of things around you. The other is the one about where you acknowledge the territory that you're in terms of Indigenous territory, the history of that territory, and the Indigenous nations. I'm going to do a bit of the latter, and and essentially my point will be not so much any particular part of the country, but Canada as a whole. And we know, and my point will be that we know that Canada was established through a process of conquest and betrayal and subjugation. And that since the formation of Canada, there have been concerted efforts to eliminate Indigenous culture and Indigenous, uh, the word I want is identification. And we know that there's been resistance to that, in spite of all the incredible efforts put into to subjugate and eliminate Indigenous culture in our country and Indigenous resistance. Resistance continues, and in fact, it's growing. And you can see that in various of the issues that we have to deal with in terms of the role Indigenous people are playing in fighting against the developments that are increasing fossil fuel emissions. And so I think it's important as we think about what we're doing, that we recognize that any real change in terms of the future of our country does depend on the recognition of Indigenous sovereignty, does depend on working with Indigenous people, and that we really won't have solutions if we don't address those issues. So we tend not to talk about them directly in terms of our meetings, etc., but minimally we should be aware of that. And I know that we're all in various ways in the work we're doing, taking that into account. And as I said, it would be good in the future if we get different people to do land acknowledgements. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be long. It can be simple and fairly clear. And it can also be educational for yourself, because if you do a bit of research into what you're going to present. So if you're interested in doing that, please put your name in the chat. And of course, we'll get back to people about that. So the first issue today is what we call a check-in. So since our last meeting, there have been various announcements in terms of Canada's climate targets and various announcements and pipelines, etc. That's one thing we want to know, to understand where you are at, what you're feeling about those things. And the other is, how is the climate crisis impacting in your area? What are you seeing around you? And how is it, how does that affect where you're at and what you're doing? So both topics, we want to open the floor. We'll have a discussion, maybe about 15 minutes or so, and we'd really like to know where people are at. So I'll open the floor. And don't don't worry about saying too much. You could be a minimal thing you say, or you're happy with the way things are going, for example. Liba?
I'm ecstatic about the way things are going. Oh my goodness. And our prime minister, what a hero he is. so many good values. So it's been, yeah, that's the thing. It's been really horrendous to watch him, barreling down the barrels, the pipeline barrels. And every step he takes, everything he does, is in opposition to what I think many Canadians, at least many Canadians, are hoping he would do, namely to actually address the climate crisis. And he's making it worse in every possible way. So I'm sure people have more to say about that. You want to know how it's affecting us right now? I'm sweating. It's about 34 degrees here in Toronto, and it's we're going to be in a heat wave for the next couple of days. And it's rough. I don't have air conditioning. I've got my ceiling fan going, but it's debilitating. And I just heard on the radio people talking about the kids in school, and they don't have air conditioning because daycares are in schools are not air conditioned, and they have to pay for their own air conditioning when it breaks down. It's horrendous. Not to mention the thousands of homeless people in Toronto in the street and like languishing. So yeah, everything bad until we get to when we talk together about all the good stuff that we're doing.
Thank you. Lydia?
Hi, everybody. Um, so yes, excessive heat in Niagara-on-the-Lake in Ontario, and soon to have smoke from the wildfires in Northern Ontario. There have been First Nations communities that have already been evacuated, and I heard Collins, Ontario is gone. So that's something I read. I can't verify it yet, but that is due to wildfires spreading across the northwest area of Ontario.
I heard there were 23 new wildfires today in Ontario. Someone told me that. Not can't verify it. Other people, what are you experiencing in your area?
Well, Nick, I can speak from Yellowknife here. We have evacuees from two communities. The smoke today was off the radar, so to speak. The air quality index, we were off the charts of beyond 10. The smoke has been really thick. So we've got the boreal forest continues to burn. We're in drought conditions. And I wrote a 3-page letter the other day to Carney and to my MP, Rebecca Alty, basically listing all of the climate policies that have been trashed and all of the regressive steps that the Carney Conservatives have taken. I have yet to have a response, but the newspaper will be printing it tomorrow, I believe. So we continue to raise our voices while we burn.
Thank you. Others, even just a sense of what's happening in the area where you're in. Anybody in BC?
I'm in the Edmonton area. I feel like I'm on another planet. Well, many areas are overheated. We've been drenched. We've had a lot of rain the last month. And so we're not dealing with fires or anything. And mosquitoes are happy about all the rain. Now, I'm unimpressed with Mr. Carney in so many ways. And I was thinking, what could you do with $35 billion if you put it into affordable housing and getting geothermal energy going, things like that, rather than build a pipeline, which is just going to make things worse.
Thanks. Lori?
Yeah, thank you very much. Of course, in the Okanagan, we have the driest climate in all of Canada, and we have the highest water usage per capita in all of Canada. And there's actually no plan here to really educate the public about water usage, water conservation. So that's a big issue. And it's 36 degrees today. And it will be also tomorrow. Um, and although we keep on talking about this, it's really hard to get as we know, to get the elected leaders to do anything, and even staff to even put up shade or anything like that for people. My town is very dense with heat islands, and there's not much actual work. There's a lot of talk about how to keep people safe, but if they can't get to a cooling center, they can't get to a cooling center.
Okay, thank you. Diane? I lost your picture there. Are you still there? Diane was from,
Sorry, I'm having
okay,
issues with my camera, so
okay, no
you'll have to
problem.
look at the beautiful orcas for
Sure.
now. What can I say? I'm in Delta. We, the Seniors for Climate group, are actually quite devastated right now with the decision for the pipeline to come this way, but not only this way, through and to the Salish Sea. So it's basically going to go through, the proposal is to go through the Fraser Estuary. And that estuary is one of the most amazing places on Earth. It has the largest concentration of migratory birds. And the Salish Sea, to say the least, has the seals, the dolphins, the orcas, the residential orcas. And it's so vulnerable already. There's a second project they're working on, which is the Roberts Bank Terminal. I don't know if anybody's heard about that, but it's a port. They want to basically double the size of it. And there was an alternate suggested that would have at least had less damage to the habitat, the biodiversity, etc. However, that was turned down. So between the Roberts Bank terminal and now this pipeline and terminal, it's just devastating. We're devastated. I just can't even tell you how upset the group is. Yeah.
And are you feeling discouraged or more angry or just to get a sense?
Oh, probably both of those things.
Right.
Yeah, pretty. It's pretty hard when you have a government, a federal government, I'll talk about for now, because we also have issues with LNG expansion in Delta, and
Yeah.
that's provincial. But anyways, um, knowing we have a prime minister that understands the crisis we're in and has put money as a higher priority. That's what I see, and maybe trying to appease Alberta. I don't know. Um, it's devastating, and then angry beyond angry. I think we're actually beyond angry right now as a group. Yeah,
Mhm. Okay. Thanks, Dan.
you're welcome.
Doug in Perth?
Yeah, so we're about an hour west of Ottawa. You probably are all aware that Canada Day celebrations were compromised by a huge storm that came through. So the next day we had Canada Day Storm 2.0. We were without power for 24 hours. After that, there was a lot of widespread localized flooding. So we're 2 weeks later. The humidex is about 41 or 42 right now. And for 2 days, we've had haze from smoke, wildfire smoke from Western Quebec in the air. And the Environment Canada has issued a warning that there may be a strong storm or tornado. So there's a threat of that at the moment. So what I'm hearing, both in print media and in other media, is the climate silence. That's my update.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Patricia in Kamloops?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, so a couple of things. We in Kamloops, we're north of the Okanagan. We've been getting smoke intermittently from the Boston Bar fire in the Fraser Canyon. So one evening last week, it was so smoky that it got dark at 6:30 p.m. At first, it was really kind of red skies, orangey red skies, and then it was dark, dark, dark. And usually it's light till about 9:30. So that was shocking. That was kind of a first for me. So, as other people have said, I'm really extremely disappointed with Carney, like beyond, I don't know what to think, especially when he said that there had to be a private proponent for this pipeline. And now he's going ahead without a real private proponent. And we, the taxpayer, are going to be on the hook again. It just is so unjust. So we're in a hot spell as well right now. I'm not sure. It's 30 something. I wanted to say that an issue that's come up in Kamloops is around data centers. So a bunch of us went to a council meeting 2 or 3 weeks ago because there was a development proposal that included, it was kind of light industrial with housing, and it included a data center. So a lot of people are worried about that because we don't have a lot of water. So, and the noise and all the other issues, power, so on. So, and none of us are prepared. Council doesn't have special bylaws for data centers and on and on. So it's like we're walking into this blind, and yet it just feels like somebody is shoving these things down our throats. I hate to say it, but, and I also feel that a lot of these policies from the Carney government are really undemocratic. So that worries me. So that's, and again, there are so many needs. I was downtown in Kamloops today, and I saw a man who's obviously addicted to drugs, mentally ill. He's singing to himself and talking to himself, and he's lighting things on fire. So, and I thought, we need money for this kind of thing. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're building pipelines.
Thanks, Patricia. I'm going to go to Rob and Ann. I'm wondering if you have anybody from the East Coast and maybe from Manitoba as well, but if anybody's here. Rob?
Thanks, Nick. I want to air a slightly more positive tone here. With regard to the pipeline, don't forget that Alberta has a referendum on October 19th and about separation. And Carney does not feel that he can create any justification for the separatists. So it's yes, yes, yes to anything that's coming out of Alberta. As people have noted, he said that this would only happen if there was private money backing the pipeline. There isn't. He said that there had to be a carbon capture and storage process with private money, and there isn't. So why are we doing this? Because it's just to alleviate the separatists until October 19th. Also keep in mind that this pipeline project only happens if the oil companies are willing to invest to double the amount of oil they're producing. And they're not going to do that. So this just doesn't make sense. And as it plays out, people in Canada are going to say, I don't think I want my tax dollars going to this. So, because it's going to be huge. We're talking about, add it all up, it's going to be over $100 billion. Here's the other thing. Now, this is a dark cloud with a positive lining. We're hearing lots about really unpleasant environmental conditions in Canada. Keep in mind, it's worse in other parts of the world. That, along with the Middle East situation, there are countries in Asia that are turning away from fossil fuels much faster. China, about 2 weeks ago, officially put out that their oil consumption will drop by 5% this year. And about a week ago, the International Energy Agency said that oil consumption globally will drop this year. Not by very much, but this is the first time ever. So I think people are getting the message, and I don't think people in Canada are going to like the amount of money they are expected to pay for a pipeline that increasingly will be shown to have no value. That's my point.
Thank you, Rob. Anne?
I just want to, I have three quick points. One is in Toronto, there's one cooling center that's open. And I know, I follow what's happening with it because I'm friends with Kathy Crow, the famous street nurse there who's pushes for this sort of thing. And, there are buildings that have air conditioning that people can go into, but that's 9 to 5, right? There's one place, it's a house, and it has 3 stories, and there's stairs to get from one to the other, and there's no meals there or anything. And I follow it because my son is a roofer in the Toronto area. Okay, as well as my friends are on Facebook. The second thing is that in response to Patricia, I'm in the Kitchissippi, Ottawa Valley area, north of Toronto, north of Ottawa. Our county's home to Canadian Nuclear Labs, and I feel like we're having, stupid nuclear plans shoved down our throats. So they just are not going to do what they're promised to do, and it's the same thing. It's to appease industry. And finally, your wish has come true because I'm handing this over to Ann McAllister from down east. You said you wanted somebody from the Maritimes.
All right, good for you. Thank you. Ann McAllister.
Yes, when Patricia Spencer from Kamloops spoke, it reminded me of the fights that we're experiencing here against gas plants and data centers. The citizen groups in the Tantramar area in southeast New Brunswick are mounting a really magnificent opposition to a 500 megawatt gas plant, which NB Power has contracted with an American company to force on us. And they didn't expect the opposition that they're getting. So we're hoping that the opposition will prevail. The other thing is that there's a data center, a hyperscale data center, 390 megawatts, proposed for a small community west of St. John. The community is Lorneville. It will require a gas plant of 190 megawatts plus 200 megawatts from the New Brunswick Power grid, which New Brunswick Power has said we don't have, but seems suddenly willing to try to find it for this data center. And the data center will have terrible environmental consequences on top of the gas plant: destruction of wetlands, old growth forests, noise pollution, light pollution, air pollution, greenhouse gases. If that gas plant goes ahead, the one that would power the half of the data center, it would be the 3rd largest emitter of greenhouse gases in the province. So anyway, just wanted to add that those are the battles that are being fought, but that the opposition, the citizens that are opposing it, are proving to be very effective. So there is hope there.
That's great. What are the weather patterns you're experiencing? Is there anything unusual there, or is that?
Well, we've had a bit of good luck in the past week. I'm in St. John. St. John sticks out into the Bay of Fundy. So we're in the fog line. So we've had a cool, foggy day today. But last week, we had a day of over 30 degrees Celsius, which is just unheard of in this part of the world. We also continue to have drought conditions, which we've had for the past few years, which is also entirely abnormal for St. John.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Wally.
Yeah, I'm in Winnipeg, and we've had a weird weather just like everybody else. We've had, there's lots of flooding still happening here. There's farmers that are never going to get a crop off. Like their fields are still under 6 or 8 inches of water. And there have been towns that have had devastating water. And, the last few days have been like 36 and 37. So it's supposed to cool off a little bit tomorrow, but it's just a combination of things. The rain certainly has kept the fires. There's fires in the north. In Manitoba, it's sort of split. There's the northern part has been dry, and the south has been quite wet. And there are fires in the north, and there have been a couple of communities evacuated. On the good news side, the city of Winnipeg proposed to cut the tree budget for maintaining trees in the city. And there was enough uproar that they changed their mind. So there are some wins. They may be little, but there's wins. So we need to keep plugging.
Okay, thanks, Pat. And last word to Janice, and we'll move on.
Hi there. I just want to introduce myself. I'm on the steering committee of Seniors for Climate in Kamloops with Patricia and 3 other people. And I had some questions and just wanted to meet you all and hear the discussion. And I'm really thankful to be involved in Seniors for Climate. And I can't say enough good things about it as a national organization. I really enjoy talking to people, introducing Seniors for Climate to people when we have our tables at the farmers market. And I think we're making a difference personally, I'm sure, and we work together, we can make a difference. Our group has in our group we have 2 MPs in 2 different ridings, so we're planning to meet with our MPs, and so we're preparing for that, and the more we talk about it and the more we listen to others talk about climate change issues, the more confident we all become. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you, and we're glad you're here. Thanks very much.
Yes.
Okay, well, that was a good picture of what's happening across the country, and we appreciate that. It's good to have it's sort of a real live people map of what's going on, as opposed to just reading stuff in headlines or trying to follow the news. So our next item is going to be the evaluation of Climate Week. Dave Smith's going to give us a quick report on that. Dave? You're on mute, Dave.
Thank you, Nick, and your timing is impeccable. Here we go with this. So a couple of photos to start off with. The visuals on the charts asking people to vote were very impressive. And we got some good photos from people all across the country. Thank you very much for sending them in. And here we go. So the context was important for Canadian Environment Week. The event focus was to have one-on-one conversations to break the silence rather than having marches or rallies and things like that. And the theme continues this fall, urging politicians to speak up. So we had 1,408 climate conversations reported from 19 different locations. So doubtlessly the number was much higher, but that was the number of evaluations we got out of the 44 odd groups that attended. The estimated total attendance was 2,262, which is dramatically lower than some of our previous events, but that's because of the intimate nature. We weren't looking to gather large groupings of people. It was conversations one-on-one. We had 8 locations with politicians attending, 3 federal, 1 provincial, 4 municipal, and again, 14 media stories generated, which is significantly lower than what we've had in the past. Having conversations isn't a big media drawer, but it's important. as I mentioned, we had 44 locations with events. That included 3 new locations, and there were 5 additional locations that attended events in other locations. And we asked people this time to kind of tell us how many hours people volunteered. So the estimate came in at 1,916 hours, which is pretty much one full person working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week through the year. And we had 44, and those were provided by 44 locations, as well as money that people contributed in there. So the types of activities that took place, we had climate cafes, talking circles, Talk Climate to Me pop-ups, community nature events, presentations and community discussions, and fishbowl circles. Outcomes and learnings from Victoria, BC. We had many participants that told us they felt more comfortable and better prepared to initiate conversations as a result. People reacted positively to the work that has already been done to adapt. There was no clear path to expert guidance on climate change. Instead, there are many conflicting and competing voices. And in the St. Andrews, New Brunswick Earth Fest, which has been held for 5 years, Muriel said that many people come back year after year and they'd never collected feedback to see how these events had impacted them, but they're going to start doing so. So there were some intergenerational events as well. The Earth Fest held in St. Andrews and Kingston. The intergenerational chair created by a grade 5 class and seniors for Climate Kelowna. Climate Cafe held with the Gulf Island Secondary School students in Salt Spring. Tree planting by children at the Beaver Hills Biosphere. A nature walk in Edmonton. The Muskoka Youth EnviroFest in Bassbridge. And in Bobcaygeon, the 150 celebration with kids of all ages. So, more nice photos. Again, the big boards asking people to comment on stuff are very attractive, I think. And that's it, Nick.
Okay, thank you, Dave. So we have a few minutes if there's any questions or clarifications that people have. Lori?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Cathay, who's in Kelowna and was doing the multi-generational chair, got canceled at the last minute by people on the council, I guess, or someone organizing it. So it was quite disappointing. But they got a lot of very good youth involvement, and it will be ongoing, but it did not go forth. And in Penticton, in the south of Kelowna, we did have our Climate Cafe and got 2 new members, and that was great. What they said was, we don't have anyone to talk to in our small community because they're about 17 kilometers away, and they said, we're so happy to have this opportunity. So that was pretty great.
Thank you, Lori. Any other questions or clarifications? Okay. Oh, sorry, Sheila, didn't see your hand.
Thank you. So I'm a new member representing Seniors for Climate Action now in Kawartha, and it was our first time to do like an interactive display at the Bobcaygeon 150 event. And it was so well received that we're doing similar activities. So we're continuing it on throughout the summer. We were at the Buckhorn Community Center on Canada Day. On this weekend, I'm at a local carnival, Labor Day. So I guess one of the things that really gives me hope is the knowledge that the young kids had, ages 6 and up. about the environment. So we asked them to paint something that they liked about nature. And then that opened kind of conversation with their parents about that. And we also had an activity where we thought adults would vote with marbles which climate activity or what climate consequences they were most concerned with. And it was so often the kids doing it, and I'd explain it to them, then they'd go and get their parents and grandparents and say, you've got to do this. So I guess it's the engaging with the young people in our Big C conservative area and just their knowledge that really gave me hope. And yeah, we're just continuing it through. We have all the supplies and everything, and yeah, we'll see where we get by the end of the summer.
Great. Fabulous. Okay, thank you. So let's go on then to the next item on the agenda, which is the plan for the fall action. And I'm going to pass it to Dave again, because he's going to present on that. Dave.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, so the fall action. So some background, the Seniors for Climate 2026 campaign is to break through the climate silence, and politicians sure need to speak up. The Canadian Environment Week was to get ordinary people to talk about climate and make them aware of actions they could take. The fall action, and I'm highlighting here October the 12th to 16th, is to make it clear to our politicians that they are accountable for representing our concerns on climate change and to raise the issue of the age of electricity powered by renewable energy and battery storage is here. And that can be used to run vehicles, heat and cool homes, and manufacture our products. Pardon me. So I mentioned October 12th to 16th because that is a change from what we've said previously. We were talking about September, and we observed that there was also a break in Parliament around Thanksgiving, and we felt that people would be better able to get prepared instead of just coming out of the summer if they had a break up until Thanksgiving. We also acknowledge that 2026 is a big year for municipal elections being held in Prince Edward Island, Ontario, Manitoba, in BC and Northwest Territories, in Yellowknife at least, and some locations are very focused on the municipal election. So we're trying to get a balance here between the national group has kind of a federal focus, but we acknowledge that a lot of locations are going to be involved in municipal elections. So our proposal, the title for the fall action will reflect those two themes, reflect the two themes of breaking the silence and accountability of politicians, but also be suitable for federal, provincial, territorial, and municipal actions. We will also be creating an ask that we're going to ask all locations to put forward. And again, that's going to be whether it's at the federal, provincial, territorial, or municipal levels. The ask will reflect a positive solution, electricity, and again, be suitable for all orders of government. So the fall action is going to kick off with the Katharine Hayhoe webinar on September the 9th. Seniors for Climate at the national level is going to focus on federal MPs. We think we have about 178 ridings based on our location. So some places have multiple MPs, some places only have one, but when we add them all together, we have 178 out of the total, which I believe is over 300. We'll be encouraging other climate groups to hold events in their locations. So not just Seniors for Climate, but we have a number of endorsing groups. We're going to be asking them to also hold events, join in with us if they're in the same location. If they're not in the same location, to hold independent events. Pardon me. So what we're asking participating locations to do is two things. Thing number one is to hold a gathering for all your supporters at the MP's office. So basically, meet in front of the MP's office. And really, the net result of the fall action, we would be extremely pleased if this builds community first. Because the more people we get involved, the more we're going to be able to push down the road. The second thing that we're going to ask our locations to do is to arrange a face-to-face meeting with the MP with a small number of organizers. So typically the meetings with MPs are maxed out at 4 people. But if you're again focusing on the municipal level, being able to focus on municipal politicians instead. And the gathering at the MP's office, it may or not be at the same time as the meeting with the MP. We ask that you establish a date and time, inform your local supporters, and we can provide, the national team can provide email lists of people who live in your area so that you can contact them and invite them to the gathering. And also any other climate organizations that you're in contact with in the area. It is a good practice to let the MP's office know that it is happening in advance. The gathering is intended to be a fun event. So singing songs, performing skits, passing out leaflets, having a picnic, a tea party, a potluck, playing hopscotch, talking climate with passersby, building community. And if the MP did not agree to meet and the office is not open, we ask that you leave the demands taped to their office. We also would like to know whether the office is open, closed, and whether the police are present. Because we have had locations where they've held events at MP's office. The office is locked and they've informed the local police who have attended to watch what's going on. We ask that you take pictures and provide the national team with the write-up and the photos. So there's a lot more to this. I'm not going to go through it right now for time constraints. It's all in the appendix to this. We will be sending out a copy of the presentation with the follow-up to the organizers meeting. And if you have any questions as a result of the stuff in the appendix, please let us know. So part 2, remember part 1 is the gathering, and that's what we want to focus on to build community. Part 2 is to arrange a meeting with an MP. So identify the MP you're going to approach, contact their office with a request for a meeting. The person contacting the office does need to be a constituent and state that in the request. The purpose of the meeting is to discuss their commitments around electricity. Indicate that you would like the meeting in the October 12th to 16th timeframe, and tell them that you're going to be accompanied by X number of people, no more than 4. And then follow up with an email confirming your ask, and then follow up weekly until the meeting has been arranged, with diplomacy always. So I know it can be frustrating. You don't hear anything for a long time, and sometimes the only way to get any information back is to prod them. But again, diplomacy always, because we want to build a longer term relationship. Keep a record of the dates and the people you communicate with so you can go back and refer to it. And once again, there's more details in the appendix. At the national level, so this is what the national level is going to be doing. We're going to hold a Catherine Hayhoe webinar on September 9th to kick this off. We'll be creating a poster and a week of action toolkit. We're going to be promoting the event to our supporters and on social media and through our endorsers. We will provide a letter for supporters who are not able to attend an event. We recognize that some people are so far away from community that the only way they can actually participate is to send an email. prime the pump on national media coverage. We are going to offer $200 grants for expenses. And at the end of it all, we will summarize the results and offer that to the national media with a cross-Canada perspective on things. And we're going to promote the Seniors for Climate on social media through the photos that you provide. One more thing. So consider reviewing the resource material for MP meetings. This will be, again, provided in the follow-up to the organizers meeting, but it's basically the resource material for meeting with your member of parliament. There's also on the Seniors for Climate YouTube channel a video relating to the advocacy workshop. And that's it. So this is, I think, from the one of last year's events in Thunder Bay, where they decided to all gather at Patty Hajdu's office. And they had a very nice turnout, it looks like. And that's it, Nick, unless people have some questions or comments.
Sure. Thank you. So we do have some time for some questions and comments, and we'd like to know your feelings about the change of date as well. Go ahead, Liba.
Yeah, the change of date is good because September is going to be rammed with activities. And then it also allows us time to prepare for those municipal elections. We're going to have to do some fancy footwork in Toronto because we're active in 8 ridings with our community resistance and resilience campaign. So many of us have already met with various MPs. We've been going outside MP offices and so on. So we're going to have to figure out, given that there are 26 ridings, I think it's 26 in Toronto, we'll have to do some fancy footwork to try and figure out how to tailor our action or actions that week. So I'm sure that there must be other people who are in similar situations, in particular people where they have either more than one MP's office or their MP offices are so remote from where they live that it makes it difficult to engage with them.
Thank you, Liba. Diane? You're on mute, I think. When you put your hand down,
So
you
sorry,
shift.
so
Okay, I
sorry.
can't see. Okay, there you go. Go ahead.
Regarding terminology, should we be using the term electrification, not electricity? The reason I say that is electricity can be generated from fossil fuels, like a furnace. Electrification is actually electrifying my house with a heat pump. Does that make sense?
It's a very interesting point. We had that discussion. We went the other ways because different people have different views of that. But depending on how one interprets it, for sure.
They're defined though. They are defined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Okay. Patricia.
I have a couple of questions. So in Kamloops, as Janice said, we have 2 MPs, and we've already arranged to meet one MP on September 15th. So we'll probably go ahead with that. And the purpose of that meeting was to present our petitions to him. So remember the petitions? So is anybody else doing petitions? So we've been collecting a few signatures. I did have a question about how many signatures we should collect. So anyway, I'm not sure where, so this is a bit of a time change for us, and we'll just see what the steering committee wants to do. It's not a big thing, I don't think, but we will be meeting with our one MP on September 15th.
Yeah.
So I just wondered what you thought of that. And also our group that organized a climate cafe in late April, they're planning on hosting another one in October because they didn't really get to do everything they wanted to do. So, and there was a lot of interest. So that's kind of what's happening. Yeah, so it's a bit of an adjustment. So.
Okay. Thank you. And I mean, obviously, don't cancel that. You don't cancel that meeting, obviously. And I'm sorry that other people may have comments as well, but there may be ways that you can do something in October as well.
Well, and then this maybe gives us a reason to have a follow-up meeting with our MP, because then we could talk electrification in that follow-up meeting, because
Great. Okay,
we've been
cool.
told that
Good.
that's a good idea. So
Okay, thank you. Brett?
The dates don't work at all in Alberta. The October 12th to 16 is the lead up to the plebiscite, and I think we'll all be fully occupied with voting to stay in Canada.
That's an important point.
Yeah. So, that's not to say it can't happen, but I don't think there's going to be much interest in diverting to talk to MPs.
Okay, thanks for bringing that up.
The Catherine Hayhoe, is that a Friday evening? Or have I got that
What
right?
day of the week is it? Do people know? Anybody know?
Well, you said September 9th, which is a Friday, I think.
It's September.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Do I have the wrong dates?
Yes, September.
So September 9th is a Wednesday.
Oh.
And I'm not sure what time it's at. Do we know the time? I can't remember the time. 6:30, I presume. Eastern time.
Oh,
So it would be
October. Okay.
4:30 there.
Wednesday. Very good.
Okay. Thanks, Brett. Louise?
Yeah, just to do the hot pursuit on electrification versus electricity. So totally agree. It is defined, and it is defined very clearly. Electrification is about using electricity for more of the things we do, like the cars, the heat pumps, and so on. But if you pay attention to what everybody talks about and what they're thinking about, there's two parts to this story of the age of electricity, or if you're looking at Ember, they call it, electrotech. We've got the supply side and then the demand side, right? We have to power more of our economy with electricity, but the big debate is about the supply side. Is it renewable energy? Is it storage? How much transmission? What's local? What's big? We don't like nuclear. We don't like gas, all those things. So that's the supply side. So we can decide through conversation whether we're going to focus on the demand side only. If there's a supply side to it, then it's the broader topic of electricity, how we generate it, how we use it, how much of our economy is powered by it. In the most recent meetings in preparation for COP31, Canada, among a number of other countries, agreed to what they're calling 35 by 35, 35% of the economy powered by electricity by 2035. Just to give you a sense, in Canada, we're about 20% of our energy is coming from electricity. And so that would be quite a big move from 20 to 35. The other thing to say, just as we're thinking about what we fixate on in terms of the fall event, is that the fall budget, the federal budget, has been changed from spring to fall. Last year it was in November. And what we're told, we being, just the broad conversation listening, if you watch Tim Hodgson, what we're told is that this upcoming federal budget will be where they turn their electricity strategy into more of a plan with spending behind it and so on. Who knows what it will be? Obviously, what we would be doing in the fall is too late for the policy advocacy, but all the other groups are doing that. We're there to support the idea that we expect and want more, obviously, action on climate, and we want more investment in renewables and efficiency and storage and so on. So I just wanted to say that, yes, it wasn't a matter of interpretation. We did have a very detailed conversation about it. And you're right, that we want to be clear about what we mean. But because people tend to speak about both, that's kind of why we said, if you saw Dave's presentation, the age of electricity, because it's a two-sided story. So just context there. But yeah, I think we can decide what we want to focus on. If it's not supply and demand, and if it's just demand, we can shift. The other final thing to say, on electrification. It's a term we will understand if you work on this issue, but it's not something a regular person would understand. So we were also trying to find as simple a language that we could use to tell the story.
Okay, thanks, Louise. Louise, as you can tell, is on the coordinating committee. Anne.
I just wanted to say that we've already, whoops, I thought I lowered my hand. Yes, come on, lower hand. It says lower hand. Anyways, I can't lower it. There you go. We've already planned a walk for the water with a local Indigenous organization on the Monday, which is Thanksgiving Monday. You are aware that the dates you picked from the 8th of October to the 14th of October goes right over the Thanksgiving weekend, which is also the weekend that what used to be known as Columbus Day is now known by many of our allies as Indigenous Peoples Day, if you're Indigenous. So I'm just mentioning that. So this Indigenous organization that we're working with, Circle of Turtle Lodge, and our chapter will be doing a walk for the water, and none of that fits in with visiting our MP, which is something that we don't really do anyway, because she just turns it back on us and makes us look stupid. So anyways, but I'm just saying, and I don't know, like, I'm confused. You picked the holiday weekend.
I thought the 12th, the 16th was the week.
It is.
Is it the week?
First, is it Thanksgiving on the 12th?
Yes.
So there's no? I'm sorry, I don't even know. Should we clarify that?
It is on the 12th, and it's the 12th to 16th. I thought I heard the 8th to 14th, but anyway, I must have been listening wrong. So, okay, but it's just still starting on Thanksgiving Day, but I mean, that's not a problem if it's not the whole weekend. People have options to
I think the reason is because that's when the MPs might be home because they're not in session. So that's the good time to set up meetings, and you actually have to book your meeting now for then because they get really booked up. They only have that week off and then they go back to Ottawa. So it's actually a really good time. And I would suggest that people write to their MP tout de suite to get a 20-minute meeting.
Thanks, Lori. Okay, thank you, Anne. I think
okay, thank you. I'm sorry I had the date. I heard the date wrong somehow.
it's okay. No problem. Okay, so thank you very much for all of that. We're going to move now, according to our agenda time, to the media discussion. So I'm going to ask Ricky Stewart and I guess Louise Como to speak to that issue. So Ricky?
Actually, all right. So there's two questions to this, and Louise will be raising one and I'll be raising the other. And we'll try and get feedback from both. Maybe what we'll do is we'll make the presentations and then, I don't know, we'll get feedback because the two are linked. So one of the questions that has been perennially posed by people across Canada is how do we get more national level media coverage? And by that, we on the steering committee and the coordinating committee understand things like articles in the Globe and Mail or coverage on the CBC. And we've had difficulty with that for a number of reasons. One, because we're new. And secondly, because as Dave explained, if you're going to have quiet conversations with people in your community about breaking the climate silence, it's not exactly newsworthy. So one of the things that we are thinking about, and we'd like to get your feedback on, is whether we could use what they call in the media a hook to attract the media to our event. And what we're thinking about, and we'd like your feedback on, is whether you folks would be interested in or what you think about the idea of having a report card. That is, if you have a report card, they're quite popular with media. They can be popular with politicians if politicians think they're going to come out on the right side. And what we would need to do is articulate what are the criteria we're going to report on, right? And they would have to be suitable for federal, provincial, and municipal level actions. And they would have to have an element of, we have to be able to tell people how we're going to judge whether people get, a gold star or coal in their slippers as a rating. We think if we do this ahead of time, we might be able to attract some media to events to cover the events, especially if people are being locked out. And we can use all the material afterwards for quite a while to try and explain how politicians are not responding to citizens on climate. So we'd like to get your reaction to that idea. First of all, do you think it's a good idea? And secondly, would you be willing to do that kind of an assessment if we develop the criteria and share them with you ahead of time? So that's my pitch. And I'd like your reaction to it. I'm not sure whether it makes sense for Louise to go next and then respond, or whether we should separate the two discussions.
Well, I'll leave that to you and Louise to figure out, because you know what you're trying to do. So what do you think?
Yeah, go for it, Ricky, and then I'll pop in on the broader issues around media.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
So, comments, questions?
I mean, maybe the thing I would elaborate on is a report card would actually come out
after,
probably a while after, right? So you would have your event, not Thanksgiving Day, obviously, unless there's some event that you want to show up to with your MP. So like it might take 2 or 3 weeks, right? So it would be something that comes out after. So in terms of thinking it through, maybe would love to hear your feedback on what you think that means, the fact that we couldn't pull something out of the hat immediately.
Ricky, I'm going to offer a comment here from Yellowknife. Our little group here has been working kind of intergenerational. We're having our climate social justice zine planning workshop tomorrow. And we're doing, we've got a couple of zine workshops lined up. The message that we've been getting from the various generations is we want to have positive messages. We want to be empowering. We want to give examples of local and northern success stories. We want to talk about the partnerships that our intergenerational folks are involved in and our work with Indigenous nations. And so that's kind of, and I don't see a report card kind of fitting into the messages and the directions that we've been getting. So that's all I'll say. But, like it's also, report cards are a lot of work. Really a lot of work. Yeah.
Thanks, Lois.
Thanks for putting that out there.
Yeah, I think if I could just say that I think one of the challenges, and it's a big challenge here in Victoria as well, is that the people in Seniors for Climate here, and we're attracting more and more of them, are really busy. They're busy doing tables at farmers markets. They're busy holding cafes. They're busy doing, events to honor the people who died in the heat dome in BC. There's lots of stuff. celebrating all the bike lanes Victoria has put in. So there's more and more stuff going on that doesn't fit into 2 actions a year. And if we want to grow, we need to be able to do 2 things at once, ride and chew gum. Focus on specific actions and make sure we communicate the kind of growth and interest and attraction that we're seeing. And I think that's a communications dilemma. And one way to deal with it is to think better about how we're going to do that. And certainly what I heard from a number of people is that the events they're planning this fall don't really fit into meetings with politicians. I mean, I think we could use the electricity one very positively. But there still are a number of events that don't fit in. And so how do we capture the walking and chewing gum at the same time part of it?
So you just reminded me, Ricky, that I did not ask you to talk about the 5th year anniversary, and I should have. Well, I'll do that after we finish this discussion. Just if you briefly tell us a bit about it. Penny?
I just a couple of thoughts. I just thought when Lois was speaking, so kids are involved in the event that you described. Kids get report cards from school. Kids know report cards. So there has to be some kind of a connection there that you can make. It's pretty simplistic, but use it. And the other thing that I thought of was just with respect to report cards. I've been involved with some activity around fossil fuel investments in pensions, and the work that is going on in BC anyway is kind of backed by this group called Shift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's amazing. Action for Pension Wealth and Planet Health. They do an annual report card of, I think at last count, something like 11 pension funds in this country, and they also comment on international ones too. And it's pretty effective. This particular what would you call it, campaign has taken time, but the ball is really rolling to the point where even there's been legal action launched against the Canada Pension Plan already, and its refusal to. So report cards do carry some benefits here. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Louise?
Yeah, Ricky, I thought I'm going to just kind of insert the question that we're asking so that you know why we're thinking about this. So, because you're actually raising issues that have been on our minds. The reason we're trying to think of things is because the evaluations that we get back from you after the events often include the ask for more national media coverage. And so the question is, how much of what we do is motivated by a desire to get media coverage, or is it motivated more by other things like our desire to have the conversations or to have positive stories, which we know media rarely cover. And so, part of what we're trying to get at is if as organizers, we want to see more media coverage, then how might we do that? If we agree that media coverage is good, but actually better if it's, local coverage or not national coverage, then we have more opportunities to maybe do more positive things, more local things, and so on. But the big question I wanted to have you think about, we don't have to answer it all tonight, but maybe, in subsequent meetings, we just think about this, how important is media coverage to what we do? How much of what we think we need to do has to be oriented with the lens on of will it get us media coverage? Because we've chosen activities that are important, that we've said are important, but don't necessarily generate media coverage. So that's kind of the tussle, right? We get the feedback, we're trying to satisfy the feedback, but in the end, just how important is it to what we do, and does it really define how effective we are?
Okay, Louise, thank you. So we got more speakers. We're going to adjust the agenda a bit because this was supposed to close out right now, but I want to make sure people get a chance to speak. So let's keep going on these two questions that have been raised. Janice?
Hi. I enjoy very much reading report cards and ratings. And I also have a feeling that they are very labor intensive and need a level of expertise that would require some special skill group. My thought about that for us doing it locally here would be we have an election coming up with mayor and city councilor and school board, and I'm an American and grew up in Washington State, and I vote. And for my county in Washington State, we get a voter's pamphlet that invites all the candidates to answer questions. And so the candidates make a statement. And it is fabulous to read through, and you are educated as much as you want to be. And we had a disastrous election just 2 years ago with the mayor being not qualified, and it's been a soap opera here. And so I'm trying to get, I'd like to have all the candidates, even the school board candidates, formulate a question. Maybe senior school just focus on formulating specific questions for candidates. And I'd love to ask our MPs that our group goes to a very specific question and have them answer it. And here's your statement. They formulate a statement and give it to us. And then they put their name on it, and that's their position. And thank you very much. And just put them in a corner and say, you're not coming out until you give us your opinion on, because my MP here sent out a brochure and put it in all the mailboxes in his writing, saying that he actually said he's a conservative. He actually said, and he had this printed on this glossy postcard saying, climate is not an important issue. Affordability and the economy and whatever, housing and drug use are more important in our writing. And that got us fuming in our group. So we know something about our MPs, and they used to be children playing outdoors, and they have a statement to make about the environment, and so we're just giving them an opportunity to not be silent, sticking the microphone in their face. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Also, Ricky Stewart, I think you and I were in an exercise class, Eleanor Lorenzi's strength training class in Ottawa. I lived in Ottawa for 40 years.
Yes.
I recognize you. This is so cool. I live in Kamloops now, and here we are. So I love it. Thank you. Yeah. So
Okay.
strength. Okay, anyway, thank you, folks.
Thank you. Put that in the minutes. Okay. All right. Lori.
I have a couple of things. Thanks. Somebody was asking about the petition, and I don't know if that was about numbers. I was told by my MP, and also when I emailed the clerk in parliamentary petitions, They said to get 30 signatures on every petition because they need 20 or 25, and there are often some that the clerk has to get rid of. So if you don't have enough, you may not get your petition read by your MP in the Parliament. And it's nice to be in the Hansard for that, because they're supposed to stand up and present the petition. The other thing is, I've gotten a lot of coverage in the past 3 months and before in our media. That's 2 paper media in my little city of 40,000, and they also have online, and then another online media, by doing press media advisories and media releases after an event. And to me, I think media is really important for people to see about climate, and it's really breaking through the climate silence. They want to hear from us. They keep on publishing it when we have a heat dome event or we have a climate cafe. And I find it really a great community thing, but also great that people are seeing this more and more. So I have created a couple of templates for how to do a media advisory. Whoops, sorry.
What happened?
I have a clock that makes noise.
Oh,
Sorry.
we didn't hear it.
Okay. Yeah, so I really I've created templates that I've gotten from 350.org and other organizations that you can set it up and then send it to all the individual media. And I think that every time we do something, we have to absolutely scream into the void and get them to see. And then when we meet with our elected officials, to say, listen, we're in the media a lot. People care about this, and we want you to care as much as we do. Thanks.
Thank you. So I'm going to let Ricky and Louise, if they want to comment as we're going along, because in terms of what they're trying to get out of this discussion. But short of that, I'll go to the next speaker. But please, if you want to jump in, jump in. Rio?
Yeah, I just want to speak to all of those who have shown support for the idea of a report card. And to answer Louise's question, how important is it to get the media coverage? Absolutely, it's critical. Someone mentioned speaking to the void. If we're not getting media coverage, then who is listening? And people now feel that anything that's in the media is worth listening to. So I agree with the idea of a report card. It's objective information. I think it's information that media likes to grab hold of and report on. I'm thinking of the CBC What on Earth radio program. We should be on that regularly. Our voices should be heard as part of that programming. Rosemary Barton last year wanted to do an interview of Seniors for Climate. After one of the actions that we did, the only thing that stopped it was that there was a big, somebody rammed a festival in Vancouver. And so that took us off the radar. But we should be trying every chance we get to get that national coverage. And there are a number of outlets now to do that, like the CBC program. So I agree with the idea of a report card.
Okay, thank you. Liba?
I'd like to support what Sheila said in the chat. She said depends on the objectives. We need to match communication strategies to our objectives, and I think that that's important. I don't see it as getting the media coverage for whatever we're doing is absolutely critical. It depends on what we want to do, what we hope to accomplish. But the other thing is that since Seniors for Climate Action Now started 5, almost 6 years ago, one of the things that I've been doing on a regular basis is bothering the media and saying, you're talking about this flood, and you don't mention climate change or the climate crisis. You're talking about this heat dome. You're talking about this atmospheric river. Every single time that you mention one of these unnatural disasters, you need to say the words climate change. Now, I think that this has changed over the past 5 or 6 years, but I think we have to keep at them. So whether or not they cover our events, I mean, sure, it's wonderful if they cover our events, because it's one of the ways that we communicate with the bigger public. But I also think that we need to keep hammering them on social media in particular, with whatever platform you use, you reported on this, you need to say that.
Okay, thanks, Leva. And then Lydia.
So, two things, I guess. The first thing is a response to Janice in terms of questions for politicians, especially politicians running for municipal elections, the mayor and the councillors. So Seniors for Climate in Niagara is drafting questions that we will be sending to all candidates. And it's mostly environmental and climate change related. We want to see their positions. We will gladly share those questions with the group once we draft them. Our meeting is on the 28th of July, so we'll have them ready probably the first week of August, and I can definitely share. The other response was in terms of media coverage. We send out a press release before our events. I would say we probably get media coverage and media attendance to about 1/3 of the times that we do send out the press release. But we are featured regularly in local papers.
Okay, thank you,
That's it.
Lydia. Louise and Ricky, did you want to make any comments or thoughts or responses? You're both on me. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'll just say, good discussion. I think we need to continue it. I think what we need to do is when we're thinking about and have our conversations about events or activities that we're planning, we need to talk about at that time whether or not we think those are things that will get us media coverage. As folks have mentioned, a lot of what we do can be picked up locally, but the evaluations have asked for more national coverage, and that's a different ballgame. And so we're going to have to just keep coming back at this conversation, because I do think, given how many years I've also spent getting media coverage, it takes a lot of maybe a different approach than we might be planning, right? If that's what our goal is to get national coverage. So let's keep coming back to it and see where we get to. And at least if we talk about it more up front, then when we don't get media coverage, or we do, we'll at least know why. Or we'll have a better sense of it anyway.
Okay, thanks, Ricky.
No, that's fine. Thanks.
Okay.
I agree. It needs more work, and we need to come back to you with some more solid proposals. And one of the questions in my mind is whether we could do that before October or not. But we'll work on it and get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the comments.
Okay, great. So we had originally wanted to end that discussion around 7:45. It's now 7:55. So we're going to the original plan go to about 8:10. So this is going to go a little bit later than that, unless we can get some of the other issues out of the way. So just give you some sense of where we're at. I know people have things they have to do for the evening, etc. The next item is website update from Dave. Maybe you can make that a brief presentation, Dave.
Okay. So if one of the most consistent asks from the various locations is more national media coverage, another one that has been very consistent is the request for each location to have their own website off the Seniors for Climate national page. So we've been working on that for some time, and we think we have a solution. So I'm going to present it here to you. So this is actually two screenshots. The first screenshot up at the top here points to the Take Action menu on the Seniors for Climate landing page. And then the second screenshot down here has the arrow that points to what it says in this document. And if you click on that, it takes you down to this list. This is what the page actually looks like when you open it. locations across Canada, and it has a listing by province and territory of all our locations. Okay? And so to actually use this, you would, for example, click on one of the locations that's highlighted, and it will take you to a page like this, where it has all kinds of content about that particular location. Now, what this is actually a Google document. So with all the features that a Google document provides, you can, for example, create a summary up at the beginning, a table of contents, and be able to click on a line in the table of contents and jump to anywhere in the document to be able to display the information in that particular section. So it's up to the location to determine the content. And how are they going to do that? Well, what we can do is authorize someone from each location to go in and modify the document. Okay, so the setting up the document is up to each location. Someone from the location would do that. And then once they're done, they can take the link to that particular document. You can put it in a newsletter. You can do whatever you want with it to be able to get the word on your particular website or page out. And that's it. So this has the advantage that the involvement of the national team, you having to wait for the national team to do something, you don't have to wait for them. You can go in and do it all yourself. And the back and forth that that usually involves. So once we authorize someone from your location, you can go ahead and do it. Now, there is only one catch here. Whoever gets authorized has to have a Google email address. Everyone can look at the content of the page, but the only person who can actually modify it is someone that has a Google email address. I know some locations have set up their own Google email accounts. That would also work here. So if someone logs in with their location Google email account, they can make the changes whatever they want. But like I said, once you've finished with your page, you can publish it, you can send it out in your newsletters, do whatever with it. And that way you don't have to wait for the national team to be able to do anything. And frankly, it doesn't require any resources from the national team, and we can be quite stretched at times.
Okay,
So,
Dave, quickly, Dave. So if somebody wants to use the page, what do they do?
I'll go back up. If they want to use the page, you mean if they want to set up their own page?
Yes.
Then go through admin at Seniors for Climate and say that you would like to set one up.
Okay. So can you just put that in the chat, please?
Sure.
So admin at seniorsforclimate.org if you want to set up a page. And then any other questions? Go ahead, Lydia.
Dave, does it have to be a personal Google address, or can it be Seniors for Climate in Niagara Google address?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We're good to go. Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
No problem.
We're going to go now to some specific reports. First one from Pat Wally. Give us the funding status situation.
Well, our team particularly Louise, has been working very hard to get some grant money. And it showed up today. Like, we knew it was coming, so we got some grant money. It's not our full budget. We need some more money, but at least we've got enough to keep going for the year. So just to let you know, we've got that so that we will be able to do $200, those micro grants again for the fall if you need. So that's the report. But I also wanted to add once you have a Gmail account, you can access Google Forms. So for those people who are doing questionnaires, you could put it on a Google form, and then people get it and fill it out, and it comes back and it all goes in a spreadsheet for you. So it's got lots of, for anybody doing that kind of like sending out questions to candidates or whoever, Google Forms might be a good solution for you. So just, I didn't know it was there, but now I do. And it's nice to have stuff go on a spreadsheet and you don't have to input all the stuff. So just so you know.
Thank you, Pat. Any questions for Pat? Okay, good. Next item, Flags of Hope. Dave, did you want to introduce that?
Sure. Everyone here may recall that at our last monthly session, Elizabeth and Mary from Penticton did a little presentation on their Flags of Hope, and they would like to provide us with an update. So Mary and Elizabeth.
Can everybody hear me? It's Mary.
I can hear you, Mary.
Oh, great. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm at a cottage and I can't figure things out for my picture, but I'll go ahead and speak.
We can hear the loons in the background.
Okay. So yes, we have been working on this Flags of Hope. The information about these projects are now on the homepage of our Seniors for Climate website. So I'll describe the two projects very briefly again. Firstly, the Flags of Hope Canada project. It starts with you sending us your Canada Post mailing address and ending with us displaying strings of flags representing our whole country. It's a way to share ideas and create bonds across Canada. There's more to it, so please read about it on the website. Secondly, we invite you to gather thrifted cloth and begin your own Flags of Hope movement for display in your own communities. We've prepared brief and helpful information. Making Flags of Hope offers another way to break through the climate silence. Please contact us. We'd love to hear from you. And please participate in the Canada Project yourself and help spread the word. Also, we've already heard from one person who lives in Nova Scotia. I especially wanted to ask Lois in Yellowknife if she might be interested, because she said she has got young people who are interested in some positive things, and our project is all about what we want to protect and what we love. And so I think it's very valuable. I think that's all I've got to say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I don't think Lois is here.
Oh, she's not?
I don't think
she
so.
is.
Is she?
Yeah,
Okay,
she's
good.
over there.
Sorry.
Hi. Yeah, sorry.
You are here.
I am here.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, and does anybody have any questions of Mary? Okay, all right, great, thank you. Next is Lydia Biro. Lydia, speaking of petitions, Lydia is going to talk to us about the petition that she has organized.
Okay, so this is an e-petition. We've already briefly touched upon, I guess, a written petition that people are taking around. But our petition is E7559. It has been drafted for Seniors for Climate, and it needs 500 valid signatures. It is live now, and I know that people have been posting the link on the Seniors for Climate webpage, I believe. Dave said he was going to put it there, and other people have been posting it on social media. So 500 valid signatures are required from Canadian citizens or residents in order for that petition to be certified and presented in the House of Commons. It is MP Karina Gould, Liberal, who will be presenting it. Once it's read in the House, the government is required to table a written response within 45 days to us. So we have put it up for 120 days, which will take us into October. And then the response coming back from the government should arrive sometime in late November, early December. That's it. So if you would simply circulate the link to all of your friends, family members, different groups, that would be much appreciated. And I think we'll get 500 signatures, no problem. Yes, David.
Just thanks, Lydia, and everybody else that got together to organize this. And thank you for persevering.
It's Luba who needs to be thanked, Barb Howard who needs to be thanked as well. Who else was part of the drafting? And Dave, and Dave Smith.
Rob.
And Rob, yes,
Rob
he
Hill.
started the petition. Yeah, we started with Rob's initial draft. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, and can you put the link in the chat as well for people?
Yes, I can do that.
And for people who don't know, you can save the chat. If you don't know how to do it, again, at least on my screen, there's 3 dots at the top of the chat. You click on those 3 dots and it gives you the option to save it. So when somebody puts something in there and you want to be able to keep it and get a, take advantage of it, like what has just been put in around the, that's the petition just went in. You can save it, save the chat, and you'll have that link. So again, 3 dots at the top, click on that, gives you the option to save the chat. Yes, Lori.
Any age can sign a petition for the federal government. You don't have to be the age of majority. Children can sign that petition, which is very good to know because kids want to be involved.
That is good to know. I had no idea. Okay, thank you. Okay, last but not least is that we're just going to draw the meeting to a close. So over the last 2 years, that's 24 to now, we've had people who put a time into being organizing support, we call it. So these are people who've been calling different locations, offering advice, making sure they know what's happening, bringing the concerns they have back to the central group, calling up new locations and trying to get other places organized, etc. And that's been really fundamental to the growth of the number of locations and the the kind of success we've had. However, people have, mostly for health reasons and other reasons, we've lost the people who were doing that kind of work. And so we've tried to find some volunteers. I don't know if we've mentioned it here before or not. It is difficult to find because I think partly because it's open-ended and people aren't quite sure what they're getting themselves into. But we do need someone. So we're still looking for volunteers, and we're also considering the possibility of hiring somebody if we have to. And in the case of hiring somebody, we need to find someone who would be good at it or who has experience or at least would be interested in putting some real effort into it. So we're looking for suggestions on people who might be the person who can do that. So what that means is, in taking, British Columbia, for example, being in touch with the locations there, or in Manitoba, or in New Brunswick and Ontario, etc., and following up and finding out what the issues are, that on the ground issues, what the questions are, what support we can offer, etc. So putting it out there, you'll hear more from us about that. But if you know someone who might be an appropriate person, either because they have some time to volunteer, and we don't expect anything more of people than what they're able to give. So we're not asking anybody to sign on for anything more than they want to sign on for. Or if you know people who are, we might consider hiring for a temporary position. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the formal meeting. And thank you very much for your participation. That we meet again in the second Tuesday of August, and we'll be carrying through till September and October. So please look for information about that. We